Now, what's the key takeaway from this? Can you read that for us?
It says Jesus explicitly says, do not swear oaths at all. Not secret, not symbolic, not ceremonial.
Oh, okay. So somebody in the chat, thank you, Susu. Susu says, just read the scripture, no inference. Okay, absolutely. So let me scroll back up just a teeny bit. Right here. Okay, Matthew 5:33 and 37. That's what it says. Do not swear an oath. Let your yes be yes. Let your no be no. Anything other than that is from evil. How can you say I love Jesus and worship these gods? Now, I definitely want to scroll up just a little bit more here, because I definitely want you to read this Lost in Translation, because I lost my ability to read. I don't know what happened to me, but I want you to read these to me, because he says to God, right? So we're going to talk about God here. We're going to talk about God because earlier Craig said there's only one God. That's what Craig said. Okay, I happen to agree with Craig. But here, if we go up here, it says here, these are the Divine Nine organizations and their Greek roots. If you go to Alpha Phi Alpha, they homeboy is Apollo. If you go to the AKAs, Athena. If you go to Kappa Alpha Psi, what do we got? Hermes. What these are now? I do have somebody from Greece here, Sparta. Are these names are familiar to you? Correct?
Yes, sir.
And what are these people? What are these people in your culture?
They're ancient Greek gods.
Oh, I'm confused. So I have Arpane in the building tonight, who is a Q dog. I have Trey that just came up in here. I got JT from What We Know podcast in the building tonight. JT was here first. I'm going to let him stir the gumbo. I'm going to let Trey put it on the plate. And I'm going to let Arpane throw it out the window. Go ahead, JT. What are your thoughts, my brother?
Hey, man. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Is my mic nice?
Pause.
My mic, dog.
Yeah. Same thing.
Hey, so this is the thing. I'm myself. I've been hearing a lot of this conflict for a while now, for at least like 8 years, about the whole Divine Nine mixed with people that are Christian. I have yet to have heard anyone that is in a Divine Nine that is probably is Muslim, or what's the other one that they have, the other brothers, the Israelites, right? So this is my thing. I don't know. At some point there was something where it was cool to be in the Divine Nine. First and foremost, if you guys didn't know, Martin Luther King used to be in the Divine Nine himself, along with a bunch of other people of
who was also a Marxist, but that's another show.
Yeah. So this is where I want to get to. Was that the intention of being in the Greeks? Because now, from my understanding, the Divine Nine was based off of equality, right? In the colleges, because they also have other fraternities before the Divine Nine, but Black folks were not privy to be in those other ones. Matter of fact, they even have a name for them. Arpane probably know the name of the Greeks before you had Divine Nine that the whites had. But my thing is this: were Greeks considered to be Black? I have no idea of why we have that connection with Black folks and the Greek culture. I don't know why we have that. Secondly, like I said, you had more than just Dr. Martin Luther King, but you had a lot of prominent people that ended up being in the Divine Nine. So what I'm asking is it more demonic, or is it just something that was based off of equality? Was the original Greek fraternities and sororities, were they practicing any demonic rituals and things like that? Like what they doing? We know what it ended up being, we see what it ended up being. But was it like that then? And I landed from there because I'm still, I don't have one way or another. I'm not, I haven't figured that shit out yet. So yeah, I'm just here for the conversation.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in really fast.
Yeah,
The
go ahead.
ancient Greeks, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, his compassion, his color skin, that's how most ancient Greeks were back in the day. So maybe that's where the connection comes in. That part I can't really answer, but what I can answer, most Greeks in ancient Greeks, or they weren't as Casper front and ghost like I am. They were darker. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense, but I'm just saying the consideration of, or the correlation with blacks, so-called African Americans, where did that correlation comes from?
I have a professor queued up here that I'm gonna play later after y'all cook that I'll play that gives you the origin. He denounced, but he's talking about the origin of where it comes from, and he's very balanced and fair, so that's why I'm gonna play him. Trey, welcome to the show tonight, my brother. Good to see you. What are your thoughts on what you've heard so far?
Wait. Let me finish this one right here, because I heard something earlier in the show when was that that probably was Bart when you were talking about the Masonics. That right there probably is a lot different than what we're talking about with the Greeks, but there is a correlation with the two. I just like I said, when we talk about Masonic, I know a little more about that than I would know about the Greeks. But we can continue. I just wanted to point that out.
All right, Trey, what's your thoughts, man? What you want to add to the conversation? What you think?
Well, first of all, good evening. Second of all, Martin Luther King had a lot of skeletons in his closet, like his right-hand man being gay and married to a white man. So Martin Luther King is a whole nother conversation for another night. But you should definitely have a conversation about him. Here's the thing with this whole fraternity, sorority, divine. Now, I've never understood it. I know a bunch of deltas. I know some Qs. I know some people. And to me, there's always been a hint of cult homosexuality involved in all of it. There's always been some sort of, and I'll tell you why I feel that way. It was one time there was a friend of mine. He was a Q, and we had to go get some stuff out of his trunk. I was helping him move some things. We had to get some stuff out of his trunk and trunk of his car, and he had this like paddle. It's like this paddle was in like the back of his trunk. And I asked him, like, what's the deal with the paddle? And it was like wrapped in like white tape. I was like, what's the deal with the paddle? Because it was just odd. It was just odd to have a just random wooden paddle in the back of your trunk. And he basically told me I can't really tell you what that's about, right? But that wasn't the first. That was the first time, and then I wound up seeing it again. But that guy, he was I believe he was a Mason. He wore one of the rings and shit. He's one of the Masons. He had a. There's always been an air of just some gay shit going on. Like, it's just always been weird with them. The dancing, the initiation. You hear about these hazing rituals that they have, and people are dying as a result of some of these hazing rituals. It just seems as though, once again, the Black community's incessant need to be equal has always backfired. Like, every time we have this thing where we got to be equal to white folk and have something that they have, it backfires on us in a certain way. I've never been a part of it. I had a little run-in with it when I was in Turkey with the whole Mason thing. And I remember when I was stationed in New Jersey, a guy I was working the gate with, I believe he was a Mason, and there was a woman who pulled up in a car, and he like checked her ID, and they had a conversation, and then she like kissed his ring. He had his ring on. She like kissed the ring or whatever, and the whole thing is just weird to me. The entire thing is just weird to me. But I'm glad that you're addressing this because, being raised in the church, I've always been taught there's only one God. So I don't know anything outside of there being one God. And so to hear that so-called lukewarm Christians are worshiping another God as a result of them being a part of a organization seemed a little off to me.
Thank you, Swart. I appreciate you, brother. All right, R-Pain, what's your thoughts, man?
You know what? It's when you're looking outside and looking in, you could always go down to the lowest form of demons. But organization was Greek letter, mainly because you're right. The whites had Greek letter organizations that used to get bennies organizationally at the schools. So the black ones said they couldn't belong to the white frats. And they were Greek letter. I think it was mostly just because they were Greek letter organizations. Yeah, I don't know how paddle turns into homosexuality, but that's another story. So anybody who's not in, not just Trey, anybody who's not in the organizations, can say, well, they're all fucked up. And that's why you don't join, because, but for me, I got into the frat because my brother was frat. And one of the things I needed to do was, there was doctors, lawyers, and all kinds of prominent around the campus black people that I wanted to network with. And so the pledge program, of course, is an indoctrination. You can't argue that. And back in my day, the pledge program was shit that you go to jail for now. You know what I'm saying? You can't haze anybody at all. People, when people started dying and stuff like that. But it's just like any other organization. When you pledge, if you listen, when I joined the Army, not the Army, but when I had to take an oath for my job. We take oaths all the time. We just don't, it's not maybe a weak organization, but we take oaths all the time. And if you examine the words, those are oaths. So if it's no oath, what's the difference? So from that standpoint, that's all I'm going to defend it. I think people could feel any way they want to. I have an issue with the Divine Nine because they're all fucking liberals. I have an issue with that. I got into a lot of back and forth with a lot of people because they're all fucking liberals and they keep us on the plantation. So I'm mad at that. Not all of them, but if you look at most of the prominent black men and women, they're connected to either some Greek letter organization or the Masons or the Eastern Stars. A lot of them, so how do I account for that? I don't know. It's funny. I just got off a Zoom meeting with the brothers. We're having the 80th anniversary up in Buffalo. And it was good seeing them because most of the guys on there is from when we initiated the chapter when I was in college. All those young brothers, they're not young anymore, but the legacy continues. So I don't know. I mean, I think people can feel any way they want to feel. So I'm not going to defend it. But I don't think just being in a Greek is the only organization that's anti-God, because most of them are Christians.
Can I ask a question?
Christians.
What exactly would a group of men need with paddles?
Well, listen, I'm not going to go into whatever the rituals are. But I can just say that I don't know what kind of paddle you saw, but that's just it. If he said, I can't tell you, then he can't tell you. If he couldn't tell you, I'm not going to talk about it.
You know what? Here's my whole thing about that, R-Pain.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard for me to trust somebody if somebody else could pull your string and you do something completely different.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
Well, here's my thing. That oath is something that ties you to something. You know what I mean? And if somebody could all of a sudden pull that magic string like Pinocchio and make you do a particular dance, then I don't have a problem with the marionette. I have a problem with the puppet master and what the intent is, whether it be somebody who's in the police force, whether it be somebody in a fraternity, whether it be somebody in politics, and I think that's probably the reason why a lot of people who are straight up in politics also get this concerned effort against them whenever they start talking about taking secret oaths and things like that. Because if somebody else who are not held accountable by anybody that can pull your string and make you do something that goes against whatever everybody else said they wanted to go with, then that's cause for concern.
Yeah.
That's concealment.
Is that limited
The Bible talks about being double-minded. And my issue with the church is that they never preach about this. I've been going to church for years, sitting in that front pew every Sunday, and they never talk about the scripture that black men are for there, because if they did, they would have to address it, and they never address it. You can go to church all day long and they never discuss that Bible from front to back. Right. And they do it for a reason, because they want to say that, yes, we preach the gospel, this, that, and the other, but you don't preach the full gospel. Because if you did preach the full gospel, then it reveals some things that you're probably not going to be proud of if somebody starts asking the right questions.
Well, I can tell you what, a lot of those pastors are in Greek letter fraternities.
Yeah, 98% of them.
So like I said, I mean, I don't even have that higher calling as they did. I just got into the frat. You got some, it's kind of like, some people call it a gang, some people call the frat a gang, if you will, because even in some gangs, they have their own rituals to get in. So you have brothers who are not active and brothers who are. And then you have people who will never get into a frat. Like my daughters are not in sororities, so I didn't push that on them, and they weren't interested, so.
Now, R-Pain, I have a video I'm going to send to you, but I can't play it.
Send me all kinds of horror stories about this shit.
But I can't play it on here, but I sent it to my homeboy. He wanted to fight.
Oh, he was a Q?
Oh, yes. And he wanted to fight. It was a room full of Qs. It was a room full of Qs.
Right.
About 600 of them motherfuckers in there.
Right.
And niggas in there drunk. They got their gold boots on. I'm telling you, R-Pain, I'm not saying
their pants off.
I'm not hating on your frat.
I saw that one.
I'm not hating on your frat, R-Pain, because I wanted to be a Q when I was going to school. I wanted to be in this shit.
I saw that one.
Right? So let me tell you this. Yeah, I saw the video. Somebody sent me the video.
Yeah.
I think my brother sent it to me. All the Qs in the room, they in there stepping and shit. And then they pan the camera across the room, and there's a bunch of niggas in there ass naked up behind each other stepping. I said, what the fuck is going on?
Yo, man, don't be fucking playing out on Qs. That's some newfangled motherfuckers, man.
But the thing was, no one said anything about it. That shit went viral.
Yeah.
Oh, you said it?
I saw that.
Yes.
Oh, shit.
What can you say?
I posted it. I not only I posted it, but I've also had my own commentary on it, and I was saying,
somebody said we didn't agree.
AQs, y'all got some splaining to do. Not one Q said anything about it. They didn't denounce it. They didn't try to explain it or nothing.
What you gonna say about it though? What can you say about it?
So it was 300 to 600 people in that.
I know what
room.
you're saying. You say y'all niggas is gay. That's what you said.
There were some niggas.
I think those particular guys, man, they had a couple of screws loose. Yeah.
So R-Pain, there was a lot of videos online of people who have their stuff laid out on the bed or laid out in the field, and they're burning it. They're denouncing, burning their little cards and all this other shit. And one of the dudes said one of the things that they had to do when he was getting hazed is they had to do a thing called walking the elephant. You ever heard of it?
No, I haven't heard of it.
Where each guy had to put his finger in another dude's ass, and they had to walk together.
Get the fuck out of here.
Look at Trey.
You ain't never heard of it, R-Pain?
No.
See, R-Pain,
I never heard of those damn things called walk the elephant.
I don't know shit.
So R-Pain, so you ain't never let a brother man whoop you with no paddle, R-Pain?
He's the wisest up here, but he don't know shit. I don't know nothing about this butt stuff that y'all never heard of no goddamn walk. When I was coming through, they wasn't doing no butt stuff. I don't know what they doing.
R-Pain, so you ain't never got whooped by a man with a paddle?
We don't talk about.
Okay.
That's why.
2 words. Plausible deniability. It's called plausible deniability. Stop asking them questions.
Antoine, you in the frat?
No, I actually did pledge a frat. I didn't cross. I'm not going to get into the politics of the reason why, but I did learn a lot when I pledged. This is going back like 30 years ago when I pledged, and I did a lot of research as well before I went to pledge. And I learned a lot more while I was pledging as well. So there's a significance, and there's a reason why the D9 carries a significant amount.
Now, I want to say this too, R-Pain.
Yes, sir.
Even Ricky Smiley, which is your frat brother, Ricky Smiley said He's sick and tired of seeing boys dying year after year because they want to be a part of the organization.
I thought they started throwing people in jail, man, for that.
They just disbanded the one in Southern University. No more. They can't even have Omegas no more.
People are just signing up now. The pledge programs are completely different now than they were back in my day.
Okay, hold on. So, Arpain, would you consider this demonic? I want to play this for you. Okay. Would you consider this demonic?
What the hell are they saying?
They're the AKAs. I don't know. You tell
me. You know what? Here's the thing. You know, it's funny though, man. Every pledge period is different, and people were asked to do some crazy shit depending on who was their pledge master. I've never seen any sisters in line where I was do that shit before.
So hold on. So you mean tell me right now there are no sorority women out here that have announced and they didn't have to look
Let me tell you about me. I was a dean of pledgees for some guys, right? We never did no crazy shit like that. Never. You know, and I was a dean of probates for some guys, brought them over the burning sands. You know, I mean, it depends on the individuals now.
And the chapters too.
And the chapters. And listen, I can't vouch for the crazy shit that you could bring up online, you know, and I'm not going to go and counteract that with all the kind of shit that I thought was good and the pageantry of it. I don't want to get into that conversation because I'm not going to try to change your minds. If y'all think it's demonic, fuck it, it's demonic. I don't believe that. You know, so I'm not going to argue that. So if y'all think the Qs are all fags, okay. You know, okay. You know, because it's a dumb fucking argument. You know, it really is. I mean, I'm not a big fan of what's calling them shit Divine Nine. I don't even fucking know where that came from. When I was young, it wasn't even 9.
It was 8. Iota Phi Theta didn't come into the picture until I think 19, somewhere in the early to mid 60s, where Iota Phi Theta came into the picture.
The boule, now we the boule, bourgeoisie, fucking liberal shit, man. You don't know how much hate I got when fucking Trump was running against fucking Kamala Harris, the fake black AKA. You know, so I mean, it ain't like what y'all saying. It's not like we don't have independent thought. You know, so even within the frat, man, you crazy. But I'm not here to argue that kind of stuff. But I'm not.
Well, the thing I did was I didn't go look for crazy people. I went look for people who said they have denounced. They were in. They saw what it was about, and they denounced.
I remember first seeing the video sometime back. This woman was a Delta, and she announced her letters and her colors and everything else. I remember she posted it on YouTube. I think it was maybe like 3 years ago, and she turned off the comments. So like anyone could comment on her video, and I think it was maybe like a good 10-15 minutes long. And then later on, I read articles about other people denouncing their association with a lot of the fraternities and sororities as well. But here's the one thing I've never heard about is the fellowships. I haven't heard anyone that was a member of Groove 5 Groove or Swing 5 Swing do the same thing. And I got a friend that is Groove, and he carries a lot of weight because he's one of the higher ups within his organization. And he just thinks, like, why now, after all these years that you put in to become a member, now you want to renounce? To me, I got nothing wrong with people who want to pledge. If you want to go into it, just find what it's all about. But the thing people don't realize, each chapter does their own thing. And also location does play a role. Like when I pledged, I was in New York when I pledged.
What did you pledge?
I pledged Phi Beta Sigma.
Nope. I'm not letting y'all off the hook with that bullshit. I'm not letting y'all off the hook with that. Oh,
and usually,
this chapter
Trey, just give me a minute, and I'll say.
No. I'm not letting y'all off the hook with that bullshit. I served in the military for 8 years. I was a police officer for 14 years of law enforcement experience. The moment Freddie Gray's ass died in the back of a truck, they blamed all the police officers. The moment that motherfucker put a knee on the back of George Floyd, they blamed all of us, not one. They say, we didn't get to say, well, that's just how Minnesota do it. Minnesota do it like that. They killing niggas up there. That's just how they do it in South Carolina. No, we all had to take that L because we were all a part of the law enforcement community. So y'all don't get cut.
How did you deal with the L though? How did you deal with the L
down in Louisiana? Them the gay niggas. We not gay up here in New York. No.
How did you deal with the L, Trey?
That shit is gay. Period. Okay, and y'all don't want to admit it, and that's just the truth.
All right, so how did you deal with the L when everybody was blaming police for everything, right? So the point really is you let the things impact you that impact you as millions of frat and sorority people over the years. So defections, gays, all that shit, man, how could that not be a part of it? How could that not be true for some members? It just doesn't make any fucking sense. Demonic motherfuckers. All that stuff, that you're saying everybody's that way is crazy. But to say everybody is pristine would be crazy of me. And any organization you could talk about, I could say that there's a portion of them that's fucked up, and it's be enough of them that makes a difference.
So let me say this. So the reason that some people are calling it demonic, just not because they're just pulling it out their ass. I think the reason that they're calling it demonic is simply because biblically it says if you are a Christian, for the believers, because I'm telling you, most of the Qs I know are Kappas and all the motherfuckers, they go to church, they lift up their hands, they're worshiping. I'm saying, so they're believers. I'm talking about the believers who are in the organization. The people that are not believers in the organization, they can do what they want to do. I'm saying the people that go to church, say they believe in God, Jesus. The Bible says that no one should take a vow to anything. If you're vowing, it's evil. So if the Bible says if you're vowing to something other than God, it's evil, then it would be considered demonic. Yeah, yes or no?
That's what the scripture said.
What's the difference between a vow and a pledge and an oath of office?
That's a good.
It's all in the wording.
No, I'm serious.
It's all in the wording.
Let me make it plain. It's a covenant.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a covenant.
Okay.
And we know how God treats covenants.
Right.
So so what's the difference between a vow and an oath? And an oath? The vow is a covenant.
Yeah, it is it's a covenant too. So if like we taking vows at a wedding, it's a covenant unto God, which we believe.
The vows in the wedding.
But he says an oath because I'm telling you, most people that I talk to that are in frats over the years, they say, "Hey man, when you get in, you take an oath." You said it when you first came in. Yeah, you do got to take an oath. You got to.
But I took an oath of when I took a job for the Department of Defense.
So so this is the thing. I
put my hand up and we took a fucking oath to get the job.
Right. So this is the difference. A vow, traditionally a promise made directly to God. It often involves dedication of oneself or possession of a specific act or service, the way of life, such as marriage vows or monastic vows. Now, when you look at oath, it's a formal declaration or promise made to another human party. That's the difference. One is directly to God, right. The other one is to a human party.
And what does it say in the book for the whatchamacallit? Does it say oath? Does it say vow? I can't remember.
Except for when the oath has God in it.
Right. So with God called upon a witness to attest to the truth of statement, oaths are frequently used in legal or civil settings, such as oath office or senator or witness in the court of law.
Or in our case, the oath of enlistment.
One is legal versus spiritual. That's basically what it is.
Now,
because in the military you can swear or affirm. You don't have to actually. You can do either or.
Right.
So you don't have to put God in there. But I'm thinking take a public office for instance. Take the presidency. They put one hand on a Bible and they raise the other hand, and at the end of the oath they say, "So help me God."
That's right.
But we said that also when we took the oath to join the military.
Now, let me ask
Well,
you this.
some of you did. I did not. I did not say I swear. I said I affirm. In other words, I make a declaration that I will protect the country from all enemies, foreign or domestic.
And
I did the
domestic,
same
yeah.
thing when I became a police officer. I've never sworn to any other God ever on anything. But I have taken oaths, yes, to do my job, of course, professionally. But I've never taken an oath to worship or anything to any other God. I've never done that.
JT, let me ask you a question. In that definition of oath and vow, whenever you take an oath or a vow, are there any privileges that person gets for taking that oath or vow?
I got a video for that shit. Hold on.
Yeah. Both. At least that's what they're looking for anyway, is a positive outcome. Absolutely.
All right, so they're looking for some type of benefit. Now, anytime somebody gives you something for something, that means you're required to do something in return. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Is that how the balance of the scale works?
Yes.
When it comes to stuff like that. So a greater question is, what do these people receive for taking said oath? And is it a fair deal?
So that's great. That's another great question. I'm glad we even come here because I looked up this whole thing of, the organization of Divine Nine and where it comes from and the purpose of it. It's actually to build communities, right? That's the purpose. Even before the Divine Nine came, right? It was supposed to be they call it interhellenic or something like that.
Hellenic Council.
Hellenic.
So, and this is the whole thing where it's supposed to be able to have what the Greeks and everyone supposed to be able to join once, and commune with each other and things like that. So that's why I came across on this panel saying that I really don't know a whole lot about it. I'm just looking at it right now because I'm starting to see more and more for 9 years, man. I've just been seeing more and more people denouncing, more and more people, bringing things out. We see what it is now, but was that what the intent was my biggest question. So yes.
It was basically the original intention was for networking and building a community, like you said. And it also goes back to what was also said earlier. Blacks were allowed to join certain organizations like Sigma Chi, Sigma Nu, Tau Kappa Epsilon, Alpha Chi Rho, Delta Epsilon, and so on and so forth. Black women weren't allowed to join organizations like Sigma Alpha Phi Epsilon or Phi Sigma Sigma or Tri-Sig. That was the reason for the establishment of the fraternities and sororities. It was because it was a form of networking within our community as a whole. That was the original intent. Of the 9 organizations, I believe, if I remember, 5 were found at HBCUs.
Let me say this real quick too. So I want to answer Mr. Bennett's question. Mr. Bennett says, so when you testify in court and they add, so help you God, can you refute? Well, when you say, so help me God, we're referring to the God that we all believe in. Now, if they said, so help me Zeus, Athena, then that would be the problem.
Yeah, but they
right.
As somebody who has testified in court on multiple occasions, you do not have to swear to God.
I remember seeing a video where Marlon Brando was in a trial, and when he was asked to take, when he was allowed, he had to take the oath. He said that he didn't believe in a higher power, and I think they had to look for an alternative. I think they were looking for an alternative that he could say that would be just to suffice if you had to, for anyone else that believes in a higher power. I remember seeing that.
So was it as so it's been said? Or like
I don't remember what he had to say. I remember seeing the video.
Imagine in these times right now, somebody, we be like real talk.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, man.
So before you do, can I play this video first?
Go ahead.
So this video right here is an ex-Kappa who has denounced, and he's talking about from a religious perspective, not no bullshit, but he's talking from like how it really affected him. And I'm gonna let y'all see this. Give me just a second. Let me start this. All right, there we go.
Talked about the fraternities and things like that. And my argument was, hey, look, people are like, I'm not bowing to no God. I'm not bowing to no Greek, no false God. I'm like, but you accepted the perks. All right, so here's the thing. I'm Nigerian. My parents are Nigerian. When people that were not believers, or some people that were believers, they wanted children and stuff like that, they wanted some type of riches, they'll go to see witch doctors, they'll go to see these evil people. Oshun, all those people that, out the river, they'll go to the river, pray to, they won't even pray. The witch doctor prays to the river person. They give them a few dollars, and then the person makes them have a baby. That person that walks away with the baby will say, I swear I never bowed down to nobody. I didn't even say no words. I just gave him a few dollars and he gave me a baby. But you accepted the benefits.
You accepted the baby.
And when Satan tempted Jesus, even if Jesus never bowed his head, if he accepted the perks that the enemy offered, it's as good as worship.
Yeah.
That's frightening.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just sounds like more hocus pocus bullshit to me, man. You know, I'm serious. I mean, we live this life, and not one fucking man that I've ever met is without sin or without whatever they've done. And so this guy had a revelation that says, I don't want to be a fucking Greek no more, and he's out. And so he had to justify it by saying that this hocus pocus bullshit. Because I know I didn't pray to no God.
But you accepted the perks.
But shit, then brotherhood, manhood, brotherhood, perseverance, uplift, all that shit. Nobody says, you know what, you're going to hell because you became a member of the Greek fraternity, a fraternity in general. Masons, anybody, secret societies. You think the Greeks are on that level? Are you kidding me? Nowhere near. You know, so it's just crazy. I mean, we could demonize anything if we want to. That doesn't change the essence of the people that's in it. Some people want to quit. They are. You know, I mean, we don't have to agree, but I'm just saying this is crazy. And I came up here to say, well, you know, how far are we going to take this shit? The Divine Nine has been around, I mean, not the Divine Nine, but Black Greek organizations been that since the early 1900s. Almost every fucking Black person I know who's in higher levels, you know, has something to do with them. And so now they even try to elect a lady for president. I'm glad they didn't succeed. But I'm just saying, it doesn't make any sense. We could demonize other Black people all we want. I'm trying to find out where the benefit is that we're talking about right now, of talking about millions of fucking Black people are faggots and demons and all that shit. Where's the benefit in that? In this conversation? Just don't join the frat.
The benefit is in truth.
I mean,
the benefit is in truth. The benefit is in hopefully younger Black people will see this and see the actual truth. That a lot of y'all that are in these fraternities and sororities are a bunch of liars. And you don't tell the truth about what really happens in these fraternities and in these sororities and what you guys really do behind closed doors in these so-called secret societies that they have. You guys don't want to talk about this stuff. Really do. You don't even want to talk about it right now. It's just funny because I watch you have conversations about some of the most uncomfortable things on these platforms. But even you are retreating. You're
coming up here and telling all you fucking guys what we do. I mean, no, you ain't gonna ask a Mason to do that shit.
That's true. There's consequences for a Mason to reveal those secrets.
Listen, gentlemen.
There are consequences for an Eastern Star to reveal those secrets.
I mean, just like in a marriage, right? Nobody gives a shit if you're married. They just want to hear how fucked up your marriage is. If I say how good or this and that, I know, but that's bullshit. Tell me what went wrong. Tell me all the bad shit, so I know what it's just crazy.
It's like what George Collins said. What kind of news sells? Bad news.
So you're saying that because I think, like you said, it's hocus pocus. But I do believe biblically, and I put it up on the screen because I didn't want people to think I'm making up shit.
No, I understand.
But biblically, it says about oath, it says, let your yes be yes, let your no be no, right? It talks about not extending yourself to any type of organization who is secretive. And so from a biblical perspective, how is it that I can go be a biblical person and say, hey, listen, I'm going to go join an organization who is known for worshiping Greek gods?
No, here's the thing. It'd be good if we had one of those pastors who's a Q or anything up here, and you ask them that question. Because they're in the theology, right? Yeah. It'd be nice to hear an answer from somebody who's, because, man, you know, I always have one foot in the secular world anyway, right? I say that all the time. So as far as you're concerned, this question we're having right now is if I had a Q, Kappa, Alpha, anybody here who's an actual ordained minister, it'd be nice to hear how they reconcile that answer. Because I can't do it.
They're not going to tell the truth.
My limitation. I don't know how to reconcile that answer.
But you know what? You know what, R-Pain? I asked some Christian people, watch this. Hey, y'all, I just put your preacher voice on. Hey, y'all, I just want to know, how did you get to know who God is? And those people who are in those frats will say, oh, he showed up when my mama passed away. Oh, he covered me. Yeah, go to the side. Right? Oh, God came to me when my daughter was sick in the bed. Oh, he came to me when my wife passed away. Oh, I found God one day driving to work. I cried, poured over, right? But then I say, well, how did you become a Q? Oh, I can't tell you.
No.
Now you can tell me how you found God, but you can't tell me how you found the friend. This is crazy.
That's not the same thing. You asked me how I became a Q. I have an answer for that. I pledged.
I said, how did you play?
Okay, keep going. What did you do during your play?
Yeah, there you go.
Keep going.
That's what I'm saying.
Here's my thing. The word pledge means a lot different things to a lot of people, right? For Trey, we were taking it in the bud. Right? For somebody else. You know what I'm saying? We're on game. You say we're on game. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so for me, it wasn't that. It depends on how you interpret the word pledge.
Wait, hold up a second. Why I gotta take it?
Because you're the one going, hey, you were out here. Y'all be doing
It's disgusting.
I'm not making it up. I just fantasy in my head.
From the standpoint of where it's coming from, but I just how you interpret it, if you call it demonic, I'm gonna argue with you. Yeah, from your point of view, PMU, if y'all call it demonic, how am I gonna sit up here and argue with that? How am I really gonna argue with you? And I don't want to argue with you because that's the way you interpret it. I don't agree with that. But it's not worth arguing because I'm not going to try to change your mind. And I know my own soul.
Now, I'll say this, like Mr. Bennett.
Plus, you know the secrets, though, right?
Yeah. Right. Because look, we can know the secret. Come on. There's no secret on how much we love Jesus. There's no secret on how much we worship the mighty name of God. But there's a secret on how a bunch of men get together and discuss shit. Listen,
there's a secret on. That's why they have top secret clearance. They don't.
I got a security clearance. Trey probably has one still. JT probably still has one still as well.
We had a program where it was so secret. I was even scared to be sworn in. I don't want to know this shit. I don't want to know. And that's for one of the Army programs we worked on. So I'm just saying.
Right. And Mr. Bennett said something about money a few minutes ago. Mr. Bennett says that there's Masonic symbolism on the money. Are we all participating? I would say give unto Caesar what is Caesar's. However, I feel like that money, you have no other choice. You can't change the money. You can't change the currency in which we purchase things, and I think that you give it to Caesar.
Look, some people actually exit out.
You can say some. I mean, you got people like the Amish people live off the grid, so you don't have to.
Well, the Amish, okay.
Well, but I'm just saying. But I guess
money.
the only I know they use money, but the point I'm making is, I mean, if you go back to the founder of the country, all those deists, you go to Washington D.C., all those folks were Masons. They all built the whole country was based on that.
Yeah.
And so my thing is, where do you? Because what I'm hearing, and again, I don't disagree. I know Greeks and whatnot, and they offer up a lot of the same things. But I guess my only point is it seems like we're trying to find guilt by association. That if you belong to one of these particular organizations, you therefore are participating in a demonic activity or what have you. But again, if you want to take it that far, where does that go with the nation? That has basically been founded by Masons, deists.
Yeah,
you look at the money, you look at the obelisk on the pyramid on the back with the eye in it, all that symbols that's on the dollar. So again, where are we going to draw the line between someone who may join an organization for networking or they want to do some community service or whatnot, and somebody who actively wants to participate in a demonic activity? I think we can certainly go down these rabbit holes with that. I'm just asking a question. I'm not saying it's one or the other.
These kids today are going fraternities and sororities because they want to be a part of a group. They want to be a part of something. They want to be able to wear colors. They want to be able to go to parties. They want to be able to go to functions and be a part of secret societies.
That's what college is.
I'm from the hood. I ain't never seen no Kappas or Qs in my hood ever doing nothing on the streets. Never. Not one. And I'm from DC. I'm from the very place you're talking about. I ain't never seen
Wait. You mean to tell me that you're from where the original Divine Nine got started?
Exactly.
Howard University.
Yeah, Sigmas and the Zetas were founded at Howard. I'm trying to remember what organization, but I know the Sigmas and the Zetas were founded at Howard.
The Qs are founded there too.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day,
but also DC, if I remember, was supposed to be. But also,
crookeds with the negative to come along with it. When I decided to become a police officer, I knew exactly what the fuck was going on.
Right.
How we were purported.
But here's the thing about DC. DC was.
I couldn't go in there and say, well, there's some good ones out here. I know it's good guys out here.
You kind of loud, bro.
Sorry about that. Turn the volume down.
Come on, man.
So I get what you're saying, Mr. Bennett, because that was my whole thing. And Arpain said the same thing as far as like when you say, how far do we go? I think we need to go as far as possible, because right now this shit has cost a lot of young folks at the time their lives.
Well, certainly the hazing has been. And I remember, in college we had several deaths, unfortunately, because of that. So obviously there are problems that definitely need to be dealt with directly. But if the just based on the topic of the show, the whole connection to demonic activity or what have you. Again, I let people, people can certainly come to their own conclusions there. And like I said, I know a lot of guys. My brother-in-law, he was an alpha. He got out for those very reasons. So, but then I know a lot of people who still in and they still participate. So again, I think it's going to be certainly a matter of conscience. But again, if we want to take this to what you're associated with, and then you want to come up with, you're in America, so I got to participate, I guess, in the American system or whatever. And if that's based on, and how many secrets does America have hidden and buried away that we'll never know about, things that happen. So again, I just think that, this gotcha game of guilt by association, I think we can take it to a negative place. But I certainly appreciate people who want to come to their own personal conclusions on it.
I'm gonna say this real quick, Mr. Bennett. There's a young lady. I wish I could play. I don't know if YouTube would. I ain't gonna take no chances. But the lady was very graphic on her visual. Like, she said she was a Delta and she's about to cross, and she said, but during the hazing process, they gave her a schedule. And on that schedule, it says you have to give fellatio to at least 3 Kappas before you cross. And she
I believe that.
Yeah. And she said after that, she saw most girls would go in the room with 3 dudes, and she had to have 3 dudes from a frat to have sex with those 3 dudes in order to cross. They had to do a lot of sexual favors. And when I say demonic, I'm talking about in that regard. Like, damn, I got
you.
You
Probably the craziest thing I saw was I was away at a business trip, and you had, I guess there were some alphas, and they were holding a function in the hotel.
I think it was a conclave.
It might have been. I can't tell you. But the thing I noticed was you had this one OG, and he had on the jacket with all of the, almost like a general that's got all the medals on it or whatever. And he came up to this girl who was with her guy, and he smacked this girl on her butt, like just palm smacked it, and just kept moving. Now, this was an older gentleman, might have been in his 50s. This was a younger couple, and the guy's just standing there, and it's like as if he couldn't do anything. And I'm looking at, and it's almost like he's like, because this is whatever in that hierarchy is, he couldn't say anything. If he wants to go and snatch up your girl because of his stats, it felt almost like gang atmosphere. It wasn't like, and I know certainly they put the image of doctors and lawyers and things like that, but I know Trey was saying, I know some street guys who are in these organizations, and they run them like that because you got your local chapters and whatnot. Some of these guys are straight up, they went to school simply to pledge. They didn't go to school to graduate. They went there simply for that, and by the second or third year they got out, they never graduated. But they brought a lot of that energy there, and that's how a lot of these run a lot of their local chapters. So again, I know that there's there's a lot of negative that I think we need to be critical at and call it out. Certainly when it's seen.
And that's correct, Mr. Bennett. And that's correct. I'm just saying, but to what end? To people from fraternities and sororities, maybe that's the end. If that's the end game, great. Mm-hmm. I remember when I was there was a Navy convention in one of the hotels in California, Las Vegas or something, and it was the guys went buck wild there. They with the girls, they were all the colonels, generals, everybody went buck wild. They tried to hush.
You said it was the Navy?
It was one of those. I can't remember.
It sounds like Tailhook.
Is that the Tailhook thing?
I think that was because there was an organization known as the Tailhook Society, and it was made up of naval aviators. And I remember reading about it, and I think this was back in the 80s, where a significant number of members in the organization and a good number were active. Active, and they just went.
Hold on for a second, Antoine. I don't want to get down into the weeds. I'm just saying, if you have organizations of millions of people over 90 or 100 something years, there's going to be a lot. There's going to be negative. I mean, with just the human element alone, and I'm not going to, like I said, if this was like an adversarial thing and I said, okay, I'm going to come up here and show you all the good shit that came out of the fraternities and sororities, so we could have a back and forth. And I'm going to say, so what end is that? So when everybody comes up with all the horror stories and say, your fucking organizations, since they have 1, 2, 3, 5, 100 different examples of how things are fucked up, we should have never had those frats in the first place. And back through the formative years of blacks and trying to network and get a leg up through Jim Crow and through all that kind of stuff, we should have found a different way. Instead of having fraternities and brotherhoods and scholarships and things of that nature that were run by black organizations, because black organizations that you have to swear to be brothers are all evil. I just don't know. I mean, it's a choice. And so here we are today, and I agree that there was a lot of atrocities, but then we have to say, well, do the atrocities, do they, to how much does it take away from the benefits of having those organizations? Does it negate them 100%? Yes or no? Because if you say it negates the need for them 100%, then there's no need for this conversation. And that, I'm just saying, there's a whole bunch of people that we revere who were in fraternities and sororities. So now they're all fucked up.
I think it's, but I'm going to say this too, though. I think that even with the nature of the United States, right now at my job, out on the street, at the grocery store, you go out right now, and you go put a MAGA hat on and walk in a Walmart, you are Trump. They're going to treat you like Trump. They're going to talk to you like you Trump.
No doubt
they're going to disrespect you like you Trump. You are a piece of shit. If you support him, you wear his hat, you are a piece of shit. Because you're
bullshit.
part of the MAGA fraternity.
Because of where you are.
Yeah, and we know that that's bullshit. This is what I could say, Arpain, to your point. Our people did what they had to do at that time, right? Because they wanted so much equality in every aspect. So that was what they did. But when you're looking at what we see right now, it's like when you know better, you got to do better, right?
Yeah.
So this is where we at. This is why we have to talk about this shit, because right now it's been going 9 years, dog. It's been going on. People been hitting on this shit about this whole Divine Nine and all of this. When we talk, think about when we talk about anything we talk about, you always bring it back to slavery, right? So when we're talking about this here, it's kind of dope that we do talk about it a little more in depth, because what I seen, that shit is fucked up. It was the same thing with the Masonic thing, right? If in the military, that's really big in the military, and I understand why it is, right? I'm talking about traveling. It's been so many dudes that actually got their briefcase and they traveled, but they never walked through, because when they start seeing what these lodges be having, they all different all around the military, right? Motherfuckers swapping wives and all kind of other shit that they doing. Motherfuckers doing all kind of shit. And you would have a whole bunch of people that say, man, I know a whole lot about, masonry. But they never walked through. And it was a reason why. Because that lifestyle, they was like, that's not what I'm for. This whole thing of self-building and all that shit, this ain't what I'm seeing in these niggas here. Now, what it probably started out as being is one thing. But when you know better, you got to do better. So when you seeing that people are saying, I'm denouncing, and they're doing it in droves now, you got to say, hey, man, this shit is, it's something that we definitely need to talk about, because you still got young people, 18, 16, whatever. That's what they have. If they're in junior high school and they see all this stepping and motherfuckers doing all this shit, that's what they want to do. And that's what they're going to end up spending. They ain't got no money for tuition, but these motherfuckers gonna get that money up so they can join those goddamn fraternities. I'm not even knowing if they can walk through.
Can I ask you a question? Is there a sin purple line in your fraternity?
Oh man, yeah, yo, come on.
I want to know because
when you say what
I can acknowledge there's a blue line. And we did protect each other. I can acknowledge that. That's the truth, right? So I want to know if the New York chapter is doing some bullshit and embarrassing the Q Dogs. Is there a thin purple line that y'all not gonna call them out and say, hey, whatever the hell y'all doing up there, that's not what we for. It doesn't represent us. Because I don't see that when shit is happening, when these guys are dying in hazing situations. I don't see these organizations coming out publicly and forcefully using their platforms, using their voices to denounce this type of behavior that's happening. I don't see that.
Okay, so I hear you, but there is a line of the chapters were getting suspended left and right in Omega. I mean, for the smallest infractions for years, So this whole rash of, I don't know if these deaths you're talking about are new, because hazing has been kind of ixnayed for, years. It's so much so that the way, if you pledge before the 2000s and you pledge after that, people say you ain't a frat.
I heard that too.
So they moved off of the hard, heavy hazing. And also, I'm kind of on the side of, maybe I didn't denounce the frat, but I definitely was against this whole Divine Nine bullshit, especially over the last couple of years. So do I call myself a defector? You don't know how many frat and sorority people I have issue with.
What if I told you there was a hazing death less than a week ago?
Yeah. So what?
What if I told you there was a hazing death less than a week ago?
No, I didn't say there were none.
6 months ago.
I just say that there were.
No, less than a week ago.
No, I'm saying I'm adding on to what you're saying.
Those recent ones. I didn't say there were no recent ones. I'm saying I could see that because
there are people
down low.
as a result.
But I'm
of these
saying that
hazing.
the numbers have
Somebody just died
definitely
on
come down.
January 31st.
I mean, that's like anything. I bet you the numbers of hazing deaths have come down, depending on what fraternity you're talking about.
Boy, you sound like a politician tonight.
If there are new bubble of deaths, I don't know.
You sound real good tonight, bro.
No, just because there was a death last week, I didn't say there were none. I'm just saying, it's not serious. There's millions of fucking frat people out there, man. There's millions. I mean, I don't see if one death says this shit is still going on. Yeah, then one death means it's still going on. It's not down to zero.
I don't understand. I'm gonna say this, and I don't mean no disrespect. I don't mean no disrespect at all. But I'm saying this, like some of this stuff, like I said, my nephew and my brother in college, neither one of them pledged anything.
Right.
But listening to the people around them when they band come and they talking about this shit, bro, and they're talking about how niggas can't handle certain shit, and nigga had to hold his nuts up and hold his dick while he get paddled and shit. What the fuck, nigga? How can you say you a man and you bending over letting another man spank you with a paddle? I'm confused like a motherfucker. I don't care who get mad. How can you call yourself a man if you bending over letting other men spank you with a paddle?
Listen, let me ask you a question.
I'm confused. I'm gonna let Coach Ferg. Okay, let me get Coach Ferg in here.
We got to get Coach Ferg in, but I need to ask this question because there's a lot of tap dancing going on, and y'all know how I feel about tap dancing. Here's my situation. I'm gonna cut to the quick, and we're gonna eliminate this stuff. Now, earlier I heard somebody say that most people join fraternities to help communities, that type of thing, for brotherhood, camaraderie, or whatever. Black Man of Filth, let me ask you a question. Did you make any of us take an oath to you when we joined this network?
No, sir.
Okay, so that's an example how you can actually become a part of a network who does and serves the community, right? Now, when I hear people say that they have actually joined these organizations to help communities or whatever, my thing is this. There's a scripture in the Bible say you will know them by their fruit. My thing is this. Has being part of these organizations actually bear fruit in the Black community as moving forward or not? You see what I'm saying? Is there any benefit? Is there any evidence of that? You see what I'm saying? So I'm not bringing in the devil. I'm not bringing in all this other stuff so people can tap dancing around it. I'm asking people to show me the proof where being a part of this has benefited anybody other than themselves. Because we already talked about being a part of something and taking that oath and getting the benefits. But there's also a price that must be paid at the end of your life when these things take place. But that's just to go here or there. But my thing is this. Has there ever been a situation where these organizations, quote unquote, have actually helped us move forward? And if so, are we any better than we are yesterday? That's my only question.
Coach Ferg, what's up, man?
I heard somebody up here disrespecting my black and gold, man. But I mean, over time, when our players didn't spring of '87, right? And a lot of things that, there was hazing incidents, but it was far and few between. And that was within the women. There was a lot of sororities hazing those girls. But in the fraternities, especially at the schools that were in the state where I pledged, there was no incidents the time that I was in school. Now there are incidents where they're hazing, right? Like some guys, they pledge their pledges when they drank, so they may go too far. Somebody may not be as physically able to handle some of the things that they put you through. But for the most part, over the time, a lot of those guys, those fraternities and sororities, they didn't announce it. Now they pretty much announce what they're doing. Back then, they just did it sort of under the table. But the results have been, since I've been out of school in my professional career, a lot of those things help build solid foundations with men, because our pain, I know that he is a Q, I'm an alpha. A lot of times in the professional world, going for certain positions, that where you would see that brotherhood and sisterhood, because you're in a fraternity, I'm in a fraternity, and we could come to. Once I knew that if you were interviewing me, hey, you part of this and that, that sort of gave you a sort of a leg up. But a lot of the work within the community, and today's, I went to one of my frat gatherings year before last, and they're a lot different. They do things that make you look like it's a little suspect, but that's also the man itself. It's a little different. I didn't see some of the stuff that they did when I was pledging. When we went to, and when I crossed over, when I was going to see, when we were pledging other schools, we held a certain standard, certain pride, and there's always going to be isolated incidents. Not everybody's dying, and not every school is hazing, because when it come down to black fraternities and sorority, they'll just kick your whole fraternity and sorority off the campus.
Especially out of PWI. They have very small room for error.
Yeah, so, but again, not everybody's built for it, just like everybody ain't built to play football.
So built for what exactly?
Well, the same thing the police are built for. They do a lot of egregious things as officers when they have it. Can't handle but a lot of some of the things that they put you through, like I share this all the time, it's crazy. They used to make us do, one thing they made us do was like, we was the alarm clock for a day. You know what I'm saying? You go through certain little stupid stuff that you look back, oh man, that was wild. But those, say if we were all pledging together, it would force us into a brotherhood. We would do everything together. We couldn't do, if one of y'all was seen without the rest of us during that time, we all paid the price. And a lot of it had to do with education, thinking skills. You had to figure things out, do a lot of team building, teamwork. And if one person fell off, we all paid the price. So
paid the price how?
That was accountability.
We may have had to stay up all night. We may have had to go on a damn scavenger hunt throughout the campus and to no end. It was just stuff that, you know what I'm saying? There was a lot of it. But again, I pledged in 87.
You're trying to get me
I
to
pledged
believe
in
that this was
87.
Boy Scouts.
But a lot of those brothers ended up being business owners, going out into the world, and you could get a job.
See, this is my problem.
Trey.
Hold on. We got long, y'all. We got like 2 minutes left. We got 2 minutes left.
Not everybody's gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? So
Trey,
so
the best way.
telling me that if y'all got in trouble, y'all punishment was to go on an Easter egg hunt.
I'm just giving examples. Yeah, I'm giving examples.
Wait, Trey, hold on.
But it's all about the unity. It's not about the individual state, because we're going to be brothers for life. That's the thing. And as we go out into the world, that's where you build it at, because you may have a resource that I don't have, and I don't have to go searching for it. I know I can call on my brother Payne. He's in that sector, so it's just it's really a good networking tool. But today's modern, the last 10, 15 years, I don't know what they do, because I saw that.
Hold on a second. Black man, what it sounds like to me, it sounds like conditioning for compliance. So if they ever need to pull that string at some point in time, they can. And I need to get that off.
Yeah, we have a part two. I want to say this real quick, because we got to get out of here. But we need to have a part 2 to this, because next week was going to be colorism. But I think that tonight a lot of connections were made with the whole Freemason thing. JT brought it up. Antoine brought it up. The people in the chat was talking about it, like the comparisons to the two. And so I believe that will be a good conversation for next week, man. We getting in trouble. We rocking the boat. And I want to thank Coach Ferg for coming up, because these guys are not scared to talk about it. And our Payne, he was very political tonight. We will talk to him behind the scenes. JT, thank you, man. Trey, Lost in Translation, man. I appreciate each and every one of y'all, man, for what y'all do. And we definitely gonna be back Friday. Friday, we're gonna be talking about stepdaddies hate them kids on Friday. And so we're definitely gonna talk about that, JT. Y'all gonna be ready for that. Make sure y'all ready for that on Friday.
Fuck them kids.
Yeah. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna holler at y'all later. We out.
Yeah.